Hey everybody, so this week we're going to continue our talk about the different programs and offerings that we have here at Carteret. And I mentioned to you last week that we were going to spend 1 week specifically on university transfer, since selecting classes for those transfer degrees are a little more complex than our applied sciences and our health sciences. I know that some of you may or may not be interested in university transfer, but it's important for you to just be aware of all of your options. So what degree options do we have that would transfer to a university? Kind of the big four would be our Associates in Arts, Associates in Science, Associates in Fine Arts, and Associates in Engineering. Now we do have some Applied Sciences and Health Sciences programs that have a transfer option. So for example, aquaculture has a specific degree that has a university transfer option. We have an agreement with ECU with some of our IT degrees here for the applied sciences that transfer either into an information and computer technology concentration or a health information technology concentration from ECU. We have those 2+2 programs that I mentioned last week for business and human services. We have an associate's in general education nursing degree that you can use to get your RN to BSN. And then we also have an early childhood education transfer degree. If you are interested in those bottom five, I would really suggest you go to the programs of study link that I showed you last week and contact the program chairs for those departments, as we're just going to be discussing the top four. So I wanted to kind of give you a side-by-side comparison of those four transfer degree options. The big two that students typically choose from are your Associates in Arts or Associates in Science. So I wanted to point out some differences. Everybody will take English 111 and 112. There is a difference in the humanities and social behavioral sciences. So you can see your Associates in Arts students would be taking 3 of each one of those, and then your Associates in Science will be taking 2. There's a very big difference when it comes to math between those two degrees. So for Associates in Arts, you get to choose one math course between 143, which is quantitative literacy, 152, which is statistics, and 171, which is pre-calculus. And then your Associates in Science, you have to choose 2 math courses, and it starts with pre-calculus. So you start with 171, which is pre-calculus algebra, 172, pre-calculus trig, and then Calc 1 and Calc 2. Associates in Art students will take 1 science course, whereas Associates in Science will take 2 science courses, and they have to be in a sequence. By sequence, I mean, for example, if you choose Chem 151 as your first science, then you would choose Chem 152 as your second science. There is a difference between the number of hours of gen ed electives, and I'm going to show you what these are in just a minute. But you have to take 13 to 14 hours Associates in Arts, and then 11 hours in Associates in Science. And then both of the degree options have to take 15 hours of pre-major electives, which also include ACA 122. We also have our Associates in Fine Arts and Associates in Engineering, and you can take a look at those and see what you would have to take. Associates in Fine Arts, kind of similar to Associates in Science in that you have to take 2 humanities, 2 social behavioral science. You get to choose 1 math course from that list, 1 science course. ACA, Art 114 and 115 are a requirement. They give you a list on that program check sheet of 16 hours of other art electives you can take, and then you have to take 12 additional hours of pre-major electives. And then our Associates in Engineering, which is our newest transfer program, you have to take 2 English courses. Of course, again, all of them have to take English 111 and 112. 1 humanities, 1 fine arts, 1 social behavioral sciences, 3 math courses starting at Calc 1. So you have to take Calculus 1, Calculus 2, and Calculus 3, which a lot of students have to go back and take maybe pre-calculus before they get into those courses. You have to take 3 science courses, including Chem 151, Physics 251, and Physics 252. ACA 122, Engineering 150 is a requirement, and then you get to choose 15 hours of pre-major electives, which a lot of those are engineering classes from those that are listed on that check sheet. So we're not going to look at all 4 of those check sheets, but I at least wanted to show you one of them just so you know how to read them when it comes to choosing your classes. So let's take a look at, if you go to our Moodle page, down here at the bottom is all 4. We're going to just take a look at the Associates in Arts check sheet. So as you can see here at the top, it says you're going to take these 2 English classes, which all 4 of those are going to take those 2 English classes. And then here's where you really want to pay attention based on which check sheet you pull up. So for the Associates in Arts, it says select 3 courses from at least 2 different discipline areas from the following. Now, what does it mean by 2 different discipline areas? Meaning your 3 courses can't all come from art. You can't take Art 111, 114, and 115. You could take 2 of those, so you could take 111 and 114, and then you would have to choose something from another discipline area. So you would choose 3 classes total here. You would choose 3 social behavioral sciences, again from 2 different discipline areas. It's telling you that you're going to choose 1 math from the following. You're going to choose 1 science from the following. And then down here towards the bottom is where you start getting into your electives. So it says you need an additional general education hours of 13 to 14 semester hours, which is typically for students 5 general education courses. It does recommend that you take foreign language before you transfer, but that's if your university requires that you take foreign language. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you can find that out. But I'll show you in just a minute the list of general education courses that you'll be able to choose from for those 5 classes. And then down here at the bottom is where you get into your pre-major elective classes, which also includes ACA 122. So typically this is going to be about 5 pre-major elective courses that you would have to take. Again, I'll show you a list of those in just a little while. So it's very important as a transfer student that you're careful in how you go about selecting your classes. The number one thing that will help you in selecting your classes is going to be something we call University Transfer Pathways or Baccalaureate Degree Plans, BDPs. And what these are essentially guides that your universities have created of the classes that they want you to take while at the community college to fulfill that 4-year degree. And they're very specific by major. So when it comes to selecting, for example, your Associates in Arts students, selecting your 3 humanities courses, before I choose those 3 courses that I want to take, I'm going to consult my university transfer pathway to make sure I'm taking the classes that the university actually wants me to take. So where do we find these? If you go to our Moodle page, at the top it says University Transfer Pathways. These are all the 16 public universities in the state of North Carolina. If you're interested in a different university, maybe out of state, or maybe you're interested in a private university, definitely consult with your advisor on what classes you want to take. But if one of these universities interests you, let's look at some of the pathways that they offer. Now, I'm not going to pull up all 16 of them. I'm just going to choose ECU and UNCW since those are the most popular amongst our students. So here's ECU's page, and you can see that it's broken down by degree or by major. Now, a lot of these will say AA and AS, meaning they're giving you an option whether or not you're Associates in Arts or an Associates in Science student. But if you get to a degree and let's say it just says AS, then that means that you definitely need to be an Associates in Science student in order to do that major when you get to the university. Or if it just says AA, that means that you need to be an Associates in Arts student. So it can help kind of make that decision for you. I'm going to pull up the same major at these 2 different universities. So I'm going to go down here and choose social work. And I'm going to choose, instead of the AS, I'm going to choose the AA option. So again, here's ECU's pathway. If I wanted to go major in social work at ECU, this is what I would need to pull up to see what class I need to take. Now, how ECU sets up their pathways is they set it up by semester. And this often makes students panic because they think that they need to take these classes in this semester, but that's not necessarily the case. I always tell my advisees, come over here to the right-hand side. Now, we don't want to look at the left-hand side because notice that's telling you the ECU course. You want to know what you need to take at the community college in order to fulfill that requirement. So over here on the right-hand side is your column that lists for you what classes that you need to take at the university. So notice, lo and behold, top is ACA 122. They list English 111. Now, you get C course, what that means is they're leaving it up to you, but they're recommending Bio 110. So, of course, I would want to take Bio 110. They're recommending here Psych 150, Health 110. Now, any other thing, like notice for the Humanities and Fine Arts, it just says UGETC or Universal General Education Transfer Component. I know that's a very long name. But if you saw on the program check sheet underneath the humanities column and it just says UGETC, what that means for you as a student is you get to choose. They're not saying, I want you to specifically take Art 111 or I want you to specifically take Music 110. They're giving you the option to choose. So just know that when you're reading these. Again, you go all the way down the list. If it just says something like Gen Ed, again, they're leaving it up to you what they want you to choose. But notice that the majority of this check sheet is specific. So they are specifically listing classes that they want you to take for this major. Now, when you get down here to the bottom for ECU, it says junior and senior year. Notice there is no equivalent community college transfer class because this means that you've gotten to ECU. These are the classes that you can expect to take to fulfill that 4-year degree. Now let's look at UNCW. So I'm going to scroll down here and go to the same major for UNCW, which is going to be social work. I'm going to choose the AA option. And again, for both these colleges, you can see there's quite an extensive list of majors listed for you to look at. And so I'm going to choose AA. Now, UNCW does theirs differently. So rather list it by semester like ECU, UNCW lists it kind of like our check sheet does. It gives you the English, the humanities, the social behavioral science. What you want to look for in a check sheet like this is over here on the right hand side where it says required by major, or if it has a note. So notice right here under humanities, these are recommended. It's recommended for you to take one of 2 of these. It's recommended for you to take one of 4 of these. It's recommended for you to take one of 2 of these. So though it doesn't say required, I would definitely take their recommendation and choose those classes. Now notice for UNCW, if it does say required by major, and I'm choosing 3 social behavioral sciences classes, guess what? I'm going to choose these 3 that say required by major. Because if you don't choose those 3 and you transfer to UNCW, you're still going to have to take them when you get there. So it's almost like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Go ahead and take them at the community college if they're on your transfer pathway. Again, I would scroll through and see which one of these classes are required by my major. So notice, for example, in my science, Bio 110. And then UNCW is very specific about their electives that they want you to take. So you can see here, this is what I meant by, do you know if you need to take foreign language or not? Well, your pathway is going to state whether or not you need to take foreign language. So in this case, I know I would need to take foreign language for social work for UNCW. It wants me to take an additional Gen Ed science. And then down here is where my pre-major electives are. Now, if it says free electives, then great. You get to choose whatever electives you want. But if it's specific, then those would be the electives I want to take. I did want to point out something to you. If there is a class that we don't offer, so for example, Social Work 110, I'm going to show you on the list in a minute. We don't offer that class as an elective. There's a couple options. One, you could try to find a community college that maybe offers it online that you could take and get transferred back to Carteret. Other option would be to take that class once you get to that university. So I wanted to show you quickly a side-by-side comparison of those 2 pathways we just looked at. I highlighted the similar courses that they had in common that were required. So if I was a student who was undecided between ECU and UNCW for social work, I would start with the courses they have in common. And then when it comes to making your decision on where you want to go, maybe the other courses might be a deal breaker for you. So for example, UNCW requires foreign language, whereas ECU doesn't. Or take, for example, the math. ECU requires Math 171, whereas UNCW you have a choice between those 3. So kind of doing this side-by-side comparison for the pathways you're interested in, I think will really help you decide where you want to go, or it'll just help you decide what courses you need to take. I also wanted to show you very quickly the list of courses that we offer here at Carteret to fulfill those degree requirements. So if you go to our Moodle page and you click on Carteret Transfer Course Listing Advising Guide, this is what's going to come up. So the first page is a list of those courses that are found on your check sheet. But the second page is where we get into those electives that you get to choose from. So these are the general education courses that we offer. These are the pre-major elective courses that we offer that you get to choose from. Again, your pathways may spell out what courses they want you to take. Do know that if you take extra of these courses from your check sheet, so maybe you take a 4th humanities, we can count that towards general education and pre-major elective. If you take extra general education elective, we can count that towards pre-major elective. It doesn't go in the reverse order, however, so a student can't just come here and take all of these art classes and expect them to count towards your general education electives. It doesn't work that way. Now, if you have any questions at all, I know this is kind of overwhelming. It will be ironed out when we do our completion plan in the upcoming weeks, but please never hesitate to email.